What? What is happening? What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Snake in the Grass is from Much the Same's third studio album, Everything is Fine, released in 2019. It was the first album since 2006's Survive, because the band broke up in 2007 when lead vocalist and guitarist Chris McGrath left the band. 8 years go by, they record a cover of Lagwagon's Making Friends for the Fat Wreck documentary, and then the boys were back in town for one more album before sadly calling it quits yet again. As I always like to say on videos featuring disbanded groups, it's our job to keep listening to great music, talking about it, sharing it, and passing it along. It's sort of like crowd surfing. You know, the person can surf forever as long as everyone under them keeps passing them along. That's exactly what our Patreon community has done this month. After voting this track in second place over there, I want to shout out all of our patrons for requesting and voting this one in. What's funny about this band name is while they used to be called Don't Look Down and changed it to Much the Same after a legal dispute with a band of the same name, they named themselves Much the Same to quote-unquote acknowledge their similarity to many other popular punk bands at the time. I like the honesty there because if you don't know it's a band name, it can read kind of confusingly. Maybe that was the goal. Maybe that's why they did it. It's like, on tonight's bill, we have No Effects, Lagwagon, No Use for a Name, and Much the Same. It's like, is that a band name? Does that just mean more bands like the first bands? So maybe that was the intention. I'm always a sucker for witty things like that. I dig it. But without further ado, here is Snake in the Grass from Much the Same. Whoa! Wait for me by the Okay, some of my patrons had mentioned you should do the video version. I'm assuming it's this music video. Hey, I paused on the bass. It's a little quiet because I didn't really hear the bass moving like it is after I saw him playing it. So sometimes I feel like I just need to do music videos all the time, live videos, because sometimes my brain will just, if it can't quite pick something out in the bass, it'll either fill in the blanks with things that aren't there sometimes or miss it altogether. So glad to see this. This seems like an alternate picking thing between two strings, which I hate guys who can do that. Hate them. Not really, but I'm jealous. It's a tough thing to do. You know, picking on one string is a whole different thing to master, right? I turn my bass on, Mark. So, but it's when you go between two strings back and forth, like, but to be able to do that fast, clean, with dynamics and control, like it looked like he was doing, I have not gotten there yet. Let me just go back now that I know the bass is picking something fast. Let me see if I can pick it out a bit better in the intro there. Okay, I think maybe what's happening is the bass is starting lower, or maybe just root notes, you know, just down here on the B flat, up to the 4 chord. And I think when it cuts to the bass there, that's when the bass player jumps up and does up an octave, more chordal. That suspended 4, so major thirds first. Now, that's the tough thing too. Do you do it on the outsides of the strings like this? Or do you do it on the insides of the strings? Nope, not that. It's just a little bit past my point. So love that. Love the control and fluidity and just, you know, everything that's required to make that happen. We go back right when that cuts in. See where this goes. Cool. Really majestic and regal. Just a big, kind of epic sounding so far. By the sea, I'll tell you everything you needed to believe. Through recorded messages and text, communication at its best as me. Can't you see me smiling? I'm gonna go back because we're in verse mode now. Vocals come in. Vocals sound great, by the way. I have to give this away. Chris McGrath is a patron over there. This is just really cool to see someone who's on my Patreon, that they were in a band that so many people loved and voted for. I just have to disclose that. Everyone voted it in, so that's why I'm hearing it. It wouldn't have happened otherwise. But anyway, love the vocals are clean. The harmonies are coming in. I was saying the bass starts really venturing out here, even though we're in verse mode and not in this chordal mode. I heard a lot of... Let me go back and hear that. Then it comes back into the chord thing from the intro, and I love the way that part is paired with toms broken down in halftime. That pairing is so fat. Just the boominess and resonance of the toms. Those two things really take up and dominate the low end. Just love the dynamic choice there. Can't you see me smiling? Whoa! Drummer's on fire too. Man, this is a cool band already. This is the drum fill. Nice. Oh yeah. Shit, this video is going to be an hour, and I can't let it be an hour because that's just too long for a 3-minute song, but the bass just keeps adding cool things. Started off cool, energetic. I was worried a bit it was going to be like, man, maybe this is a bit buried. But it was just that jump cut to the octave part that I thought the bass player was doing this from the beginning. I'm an idiot, didn't look up the bass player's name before. I was reading the history about the band, but there was no Wikipedia page for this album, so I didn't read that far and put it together. I'm really sorry, much the same. Bass player's sick. I do know Chris McGrath here. Okay. A whole different evolution of the bass part here, really blossoming, almost jumping up and taking some of the spotlight, which I'll never complain about. But I like this little figure, melodic figure thing happening here. Some different chords we haven't heard before. I'm going to try not to get too granular, but it's just new things are popping in every 10 seconds. See. Going down into a bit G minor now, so this kind of sound. Just pretty progression it's outlining there. So good, you see. I'm a bit of every... It might be tuned down as well. Let's see. Yes, they definitely are. Because I hear that G being fretted right here. So that's good to know. Tuning down always throws me off, but nice little... All right. I'm a bit of everything. Nice thing there too. I know I'm stopping again. I promise I'm not going to keep doing this the whole video, but just so many cool things popped in right here. Going up the octaves on those chokes is such a energetic thing to do as a bass player. He could have easily just went, but he went. I just like the presence it has. I'm a bit of everything. Man, so much cool stuff. All right. This was a pretty dense chord here. It sounded like a 9 chord. Just had some richness to it. Very emotive chord. Whatever's happening here. Let me see if I can pick it out. What is that? I think it might just be a nice 9 chord with a, like a, so it's major but still has that 9 in there. Man, I can't play it on bass, but the top part of the chord is like that kind of chord? Maybe. Anyway.
at your behest. Treason's not so bad, it just sounds old. My allegiance has been sold. An infiltrator in your
And that drum bass chemistry is just electric every single time those little fills happen. And I like how they're playing around with the suspended fourth. So a suspended fourth basically is an unresolved interval. It wants to resolve to the third. Typically, that's the way it's used. That's more or less the way it's used here. It's called a 4-3 suspension. It's basically, you have, let's say I'm taking F. You just raise the third up a half steps and you have a perfect fourth. And you go between them and it's a way to almost be on the root note, but unresolve it without changing to another chord or something. That's how it's always been sort of taught to me. If you're on the root note, if you're on the one, how do you create tension already being at home base? Well, this is a great way to do it because they're going, even that bass part is going up to the 4. It just wants to go back down to the home base. So you just throw that in the same phrase. And the longer you do it, it just creates that sense of tension and resolve, but you're never really changing chords per se. I like that, and I like that it's especially being used in the bass part.
snake in the grass, I know you're scared, but I won't succumb to fear.
I love that part. What is it? Down to the minor 2 chord. Just cool, catchy.
In the dark, you were the ruse, you were the cover of the deception like no other. You'll know the truth when you discover I'm more than an inconvenient lover. Try to keep the intelligence brief. This plot is not as big as it seems to me.
I feel like I heard some bass chords or something there. I don't remember that the last time they came to this section. Let me hear it again.
The intelligence brief.
All that. Maybe the bass player is outlining the 9. I hear this. It's a tough stretch down here. I hear that chord being played in the bass. I don't know if it's just at the same time though.
Try to keep the intelligence brief. This plot is not as big as it seems.
And I haven't even mentioned the guitar parts yet. I mean, this is reminiscent of all the things I've come to love about bands from the scene. This reminds me, I mean, I'm primed reading that on the Wikipedia, but this definitely reminds me of Lagwagon guitar stylings. Multiple guitar layers, never really doing the same thing at once. Coming together for short amounts of time for impact, maybe the chorus or something, but they're always just weaving these little counter melodies in and out. And the way it's playing with the bass part, I see the Lagwagon comparison. I see the No Use for a Name comparison. I mean, it reminds me a lot of like International U-Day. Beautiful songs that aren't packaged like ballads, but they have just as much beauty. I think that's what these bands are really good at. I almost think it's their way of having that ballady quality that's a bit pretty to their catalog without saying we sold out and cheaply wrote a ballad. They use their layering very intelligently, very catchy, multiple melodies happening, and just package it in this not ballad rock song kind of thing. That's probably my favorite part of songs like this, because when you strip it all away, it's like if you play this on piano and slowed it down, the song would be there. I bet it would be super beautiful. Okay, really digging this song. What? What is happening? This is like the first time I saw Wilhelm scream. I just... Tapping? I've already made this video long enough. Okay. Sorry, gotta look at it. Wow! This is tough because I'm looking at the frets, but I'm hearing a different pitch because I'm not in his tuning. I'll have better luck, honestly, staying in standard. Again, alternate tunings have always been kind of my kryptonite. Okay, this is rad. Didn't expect this at all. I expected just some wholesome, lead-esque bass playing. This bass performance has just been very surprising. I should have known it might have something like this because the Patreon community was just like, the bass is crazy in this song. And I just never know what that really means. The bass is crazy in this song. And the secret to making that clean, lay your fingers over the strings. You don't want to just tap on them because you get a lot of that noise. So you got to have to rest your finger over them. And I'm paused on the perfect frame to point this out. You can see his fingers there are tapping this lower note, but he's not tapping it like this. You know, you can't stick a pencil under there. He's laying the finger down over all four strings to basically mute all this up here so that it stays clean. So you start to intuitively do that when you do tapping on a fretted instrument. You just make those adjustments because it sounds dirty, and you keep muting things and using more surface area to actually make it clean. Anyway, enough with the bass lesson there. Let's hear it one more time. I don't want to get too in the weeds on this as well. But sit! So I'm not going to get the rhythm exactly right unless I rewind a few more times. Let's just keep it moving. I want to see how it kind of builds. I haven't even gotten past the first couple notes of it. Cool, okay.
Would you release me from?
What I like about how this section ended is you hear that guitar part coming in kind of palm muted as the bass tapping is concluding, and it almost serves as a role reversal. It's something lower, rhythmic, maybe a bit meatier to come in and transition your ear out of this bass solo tapping thing to make the transition to a normal bass part maybe a bit more smooth. That's how this guitar part that enters right in the last few seconds. It's a very subtle layer, but that's how it came across to me. Listen. Guitar is just ringing out. Right here. Kind of brings your ear back in a little more smooth. Now the bass joins into what that guitar part was doing during the tapping part. So it's just as important to think about, how am I going to transition out of something like that? How do I use the other layers to bring a listener's ear maybe back in a bit more normally? Cool. This whole track has been so smooth.
From this service, 'cause no one here deserves this. The winds of change will clear the way and leave me with the world to pave. You would bless me if you cursed
Nice little gurgle.
It's too late to reverse this. We've come too far to clear the stain. Build my house out of the waste.
This is just...
You were the ruse, you were the cover of a deception like no other. You'll know the truth when you discover I'm more than an inconvenient lover.
I gotta say, there's something just really endearing about the shot of him singing in the car. I think that's where so many of us get lost in the music a little bit on our everyday drive, or, you know, I do most of my music listening there. It's not at home. I used to listen to music late at night, but I found it just kept me up because I'm always thinking about it analytically. So the car is where I can listen to it kind of passively. And I always find I hear music a little differently when I'm listening to it, maybe subconsciously and not with my direct attention. I hear things I'd never heard before. It maybe skips the left brain and goes to the right brain, and maybe just I absorb it a bit more, I don't know, emotionally, if you will. Just had to point that out. I like that, the choice of that shot there.
Try to keep the intelligence brief. This plot is
Bass chords again.
as it seems.
This was a fantastic pick. I swear I would have had the same response had I not known who was in it, and this was just another song on my list. This was a standout track I'm going to remember for a while, only because the structure and the pacing, and as I use the word, the storyboarding of the bass part was so unpredictable in a really cool way. The bass kept getting more busy from starting off what I thought to be a very buried bass part. Again, I said that already, and I'm like, oh my God, is this going to be one of those things where there's a ton of nuance, but I'm never going to really know about it unless it's shown on the screen. And it just kept doing this. over and over. It got busier and busier. And then it went to that tapping part that was very, very unassuming. And then it ended sort of in the mode that it has been since maybe halfway through the song. That's what I mean when I say storyboarding. Like if you look at the bass part, it's like a story. How does it unfold? There's so much energy to be derived from thinking that way as a bass player. And I feel like I tried to chime in as much as I could with the vocals, which I love, the guitar playing, which is just like lagwagon goodness, melodic, smart layer writing. And every now and then I'd see that drummer just murdering it with these fast fills, the way he would tap into the bass part at times. They'd lock in on those hits. Really, really well done song. Shit. These guys got to get back together. And I know I read on the Wikipedia, this is what it says: increasing anxiety and due to the band being part-time and members living in different states. Trust me, I get it. It's more expensive now than ever to travel and tour as a band. Maybe they can get together and make music and maybe not tour it. Yeah, I got to stop with the superlatives. This one just really surprised me. And thank you guys on Patreon for exposing me to this. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to participate in all this and support the channel, the best way to do that is to come join on Patreon. Patreon.com/LowenUniversity. We do full album breakdowns every single month. They're voted on by you guys, the patrons. I have bass lessons over there if you're a player. And just about everything I've done on video that I care about is on my Patreon. So come hang out. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share it. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.